Alright guys, let me show you guys how I set up my chart. Let's start with this, okay? Let me delete everything real quick. So I'll show you guys how I set up my charts. Okay, this is the beautiful stuff. So what I like doing is my right side is always gonna be my footprint. My left side is gonna be my pretty much understanding like big trades that's pretty much kicking in. So I always like to get all these aggregated orders and I want to be having deep stats. So I'm gonna be showing you guys everything how I set it up. Always have delta percentage of a specific candle. So let me just walk you guys through this. Always have your total volume, always have your delta, and always have your delta percentage. Those are the very important stuff. Now, regardless about the aggregated orders, we want to be setting this to 30. Let's set this to like 30 right here for the big trades. And for every trade, I want to have an execution audio. Dude, I don't know why people are saying deep charts is a scam. You know, like I never understood that whole idea. Like, I have to tell you this, okay? Majority of the people that I realize that are hating deep charts are usually the ones that are in deep charts for that are trading order flow for the past 5 years, and a new platform arrive and they've been through hell, and they're like, okay, guys, I want Sierra charts, but come on, bro, Sierra charts is like fucking MetaTrader, you know? And the thing I like about deep charts is that everything is already set up. So the only thing you have to worry about is fucking trading. You don't have to worry about setting it up and all that stuff. You know, it's just so basic. It's easy. It's already there. What I like, I keep this on the 5 minutes. And after I have this in the 5 minutes, I want this to be the footprint chart. And let's take a look. Andrea Chimi. Let's take a look here to this 1 minute footprint entry. This is what I like using. So I just want to have some clarifications if this is correct. Let's go here, order flow analyzer. Let's change the ticker, the ticks. It seems like auto grouping is set to 16 either way. Okay, looks so much brilliant now. Wow, brilliant. Now, how I like to do, I want to start a daily volume profiling. I want to see how institutions are pretty much positioning themselves. I want to look for an area with low volume node, which we can capitalize for a buy. So there's a current low volume node here, which I was kind of looking for this, since these are areas that, you know, there's inefficiencies of price, so we might be able to see that again. We have again a low volume node here, which is truly interesting. Now we're gonna enable the 5 minutes drawing for this thing. So let me just mark this whole thing right here. Let's have it extended. I'm not sure we no tap at all. Let me just adjust these settings right here. Okay, let's have this manual. So we have this level as well. Truly an interesting low volume node. And if we're gonna be looking into our gamma exposure levels, we're currently in a 1 day min max, but the put support's all the way up here. If we're gonna be looking to GC, we're rejecting the, okay, this is like 15 minutes delayed. I don't have live data for this, but so let's see what happens today. Okay, now let me have this daily value levels. We might be rejecting here. We have a beautiful, ooh, hold on. So we're in the value area low of the day. There's a high volume node. We're currently rejecting in a low volume node of the session right here. So truly interesting. I love looking into low volume nodes. I view them as very interesting price levels because they are inefficiency of price. You can mark this. Honestly, you can even just mark this whole thing as well. Let's see if we can have a setup, hopefully, to be honest. From this trade right here, right? How did I get this buy? Which is something that's not really obvious personally myself. If I just took this setup, I wouldn't like it because I'm not looking at the wonder chart. I'm looking at the future chart. So you can see all this aggressive selling. We're trying to hit the bid. And just right when I saw this, I was able to see all this aggressive selling. You see this. Sellers are sellers. The delta is very insane. Okay, guys, I want you to think of this. I know you guys already know this, right? We had this talk before. You have this all this aggressive volume. They tried to push lower, but the candle went all the way up. But all the sellers are kind of trapped over here. You see this? All the sellers are here, and it kind of close above. That means they're not in profit. Okay, they are not in profit. Now, with this in the way, what I did was I just kind of marked this whole thing, and I wanted to see buyers kick in, right? So when market came back here, I had my first initial buy, break even, a little bit to the left. Another buy right here, cut from my minor loss here. And then when market came back to this area where sellers were very aggressive, I wanted to see that, guys, you want to think with your brain here. I'm always looking if we get some notification. I want you guys to think with your brain, okay? The reason why I'm saying this is that there's a lot of sellers here, correct? And then the location is good. Your location is always everything. You have a lot of sellers here. Now, when you have a lot of sellers in a specific level, you have to tell yourself is that if there's a lot of sellers here, how did the candle close? Okay, like you have to think in that type of way. The candle closed above all the sellers, so that means they were buying here that was able to lift the bid to the upside, right? It was able to lift prices to the upside. Now, this gives us the same validation is that if the market comes back here again, where all the buyers, the passive buyers, were able to lift the bid, were able to lift the prices up here, even though there's a lot of selling, that means that we want to be seeing the same reaction when it comes back. So when the footprint chart comes in, I saw this. Sellers here, buyers kicking in, and then the same again when it came back here, more buyers were coming in. And you can see that there were over 10 sellers hitting the ask, but a candle closed with a very good green candle, a very strong green candle. So when I saw that, that was enough for me to kind of pull the trigger for that trade. So from that alone, that was enough for me to just say that, okay, this one's looking good. I want to pull this trade. Took my buy. Stops just pretty much under this low. And my target was a clear of this high. That was like a 2-hour trade. I think I had my entry a little bit earlier. This was a 2-hour trade, bro. That wasn't a 1.5-hour trade. With that idea in mind, it's very strong to have a logical understanding on where price wants to move. You know, like that's a very important thing. Like try to understand, like the thing is with most traders is that when you have a supply level that got formed previously, you know, and you're like, oh, I can set a limit here because sellers were strong. But you have to ask yourself, an area where this level, yes, sellers won the battle here. But you have to ask yourself, are the sellers gonna enter the same level again? That's a big question you want to be asking yourself. Because a previous level reaction doesn't necessarily mean that there might be the same reaction in the future. That's why you go to the lower time frame and get confirmations. Okay, there we go. There's big trades entering now. There we go. There's DeepCharts. It got set to muted. This is good. Now, this is something I like to see, by the way. Do you guys see this? All these dark colors. But I need to see some follow through of the buyers. This is what I like seeing. When you see all these dark colors, that's when I get excited. Because I get that might be a mean reverting setup like this. All these dark colors. So I'm like, bro, that looks very good. For example, here. This one. This sweep up here. I wanted to take another short, but I'm like, bro, I gotta chill. I just hit my first winner. I don't wanna, you know, I just hit my TP. I don't wanna fucking trade again. I'll chill it out. So normally when they see this, when it taps to my level, all this aggressive sellers, this is something I get excited because I know that there's something cooking there. There's buyers that are kicking in. Can you talk about what's the one big trigger you look for whenever you want to trade about gold or NQ? Okay, that's a phenomenal question, Wise. If you have any bigger question, better questions on Wise, please write it down. This is a good basis, a good starting point. My big trigger is always a pain point. I have two triggers. One, when I get pain, and the other one is gonna be reaction. So if I get absorption and an aggression, that's where I take my entry.